Welcome to the Big Z Breakdown. I'm Mike Zanetti, and basketball playoffs are about to start. You got the play-in tournament, hockey's on the way, but in order for me to be able to talk about the sports that I don't know 1,000%, let me bring on a very special guest, Jacob Nation, one of the guys that I know to be an NBA analyst. Jacob, the best in the nation. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Mike. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm really excited that playoffs are finally here. Seems like the regular season always drags on so long, but we finally made it.
We're going to get some picks in. Jacob's got all the props and all everybody needs to know. So if anything goes wrong, you can blame Jacob.
Blame me. It's my bad, guys.
So we'll start with the first game, Tuesday night. The Hawks versus the Magic. This is going to be a tough one. I don't know. I know what Jacob's going to say already, but I'm going to let him say who's going to win and why.
Mike, I really think the Atlanta Hawks are going to surprise a lot of people. On a lot of the panels that you see, people are picking the Magic left and right. No one's really giving the Hawks a chance. Everyone's like, oh, Paulo's going to score 30. What are the Hawks going to do to stop him? Well, my thing is the Hawks are seasoned in the playoffs. Trae Young's been to the conference finals. He always rises in the playoffs. And this team around him right now is a lot better than the cast that's been around him in the previous years. Clint Capella's going to be out, which is a big hit. But Onyeka Okongwu is going to be a big matchup problem for the Magic. I don't really think they have a lot of size. So really anyone that can get in there and get on the boards is going to give them a lot of issues.
100%. I look at the fact that when we're looking at this game, who's going to wow me, right? Who am I going to say is going to be the guy to take over the game? And I feel like Paulo has been that guy for the Magic that if he's not on, what's going to happen, right? Do you go to Franz Wagner? Do you move the ball around? Do you trust any of your other players to score?
Well, I do think the Magic have a lot of players that can score, but they don't have the high scoring potential of a lot of teams. They might drop 20 or something like that, but they don't. Jalen Suggs isn't going to drop 30 points for the Magic tomorrow and wow everybody. They really have to work as a team to perform well. And a lot of their players have been injured throughout the year, which is why they fell into the play-in tournament. A lot of people thought they'd be a 4 or a 5 seed going into the year, but I just don't think they've meshed as well. And going into the playoffs in a 7-game series, you have to have that chemistry throughout the year, and that's shown with a lot of teams in the past.
So you wouldn't be surprised if you saw the Magic, because the spread is -5. We're getting to the props in just a second, but if you're looking at the Magic in a 1-game series in the play-in, you think there's a chance they can get to the playoffs, but not necessarily in a 7-game series?
Yes, I think that they also can make the playoffs if they lose this matchup and get another chance in the play-in. I just don't think the Hawks match up well with them, and I think that their experience is going to reign over the youthful Magic because it's hard to rely on players like Wendell Carter and other. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is one guy the Magic could look to, talking about experience. I think that if you really just move the ball around and play as a team, you're going to have a lot better odds than if you're just wanting Paolo to drop 30. Because in the regular season, Paolo is not really getting honed in on as much and teams aren't scheming. And in this series, the Hawks are focusing in on Paolo, so he's not going to get those easy opportunities.
100%. All right, let's hear your first kind of pick. I know you said the Hawks would win, but what are we looking at for this game?
I really like the Hawks money line to start off, and let me just double check what that is to be sure.
It is plus 220 as far as I saw it last.
Yeah, plus 220 for the for the Hawks money line. I really like that. The spreads are a little bit iffy because in a playoff game you never know what's going to happen. They're always a lot more competitive, so I like to stay away from those, but I think the Hawks march in there and assert their dominance probably early, and I could see them getting out to maybe a 10-point lead by halftime, and the Magic are having to struggle back into the game as it goes on.
I will say, at home, that could be a little bit of a factor, so Magic could be on their high horse maybe first half, or if the Hawks get their number, maybe a first half potential Hawks spread. I don't mind that, but this is all Jacob. I'm not 100% maybe educated. I mean, I know it's basketball, right? Like, don't get me wrong. I could name players, but when it comes down to numbers and stats, That's all Jacob. So let me hear how many points is Trae Young going to drop if the Hawks are going to win this game? I feel like Trae Young has to be a big factor in this game.
I hate being like the guy that picks the star for something like this to happen, but Trae Young really has proven it in the past. Every time I think about Trae Young, I think about him doing little shimmies in the garden, and I'm really excited to see him play, and I think he's going to drop over 30 points. It wouldn't surprise me. His line right now is at 26 and a half, and I think that he's going to crush that. I'd take the alternate spread on that, honestly.
25 plus. I mean, here's the thing with Trae Young. I feel like when the playoffs are around, whether it's playing, he always shows up. Whether the Hawks kind of lose in heartbreaking fashion, I feel like Trae Young's always that guy. Whether it's having a double-double with assists or dropping 30 points, he's always consistent in the fact that he shows up in the playoffs, at least from what I've seen.
I agree with that. And even back when he was in Oklahoma, that's what he was known for. People didn't think he would translate well to the NBA because all the crazy shots he was taking and how confident he was. But that's what's given him the success in the NBA is that he takes the shots that a lot of players can't take and he makes them and he keeps the confidence to keep doing that even if he's missing.
100%. I mean, a quick little preview. Jacob's got the Hawks. I think the spread is really safe. I mean, especially on the road. I mean, the Magic haven't been playing up the standard. I mean, they're a good team, but Trae Young's just a different breed. It's probably going to be head-to-head with Paolo and Young, if you would.
Absolutely. And I'm not saying the Magic are a bad team by any means. I'm not saying like the Magic don't have a chance. I just really believe in the Hawks. I think I've seen them play a lot. I've watched a lot of their games this year just because I grew up in Tennessee, so they were a local team. So I might not be a huge fan of the team, but I follow them and I know what's going on. So, I'm not putting it past the Magic at all to win against the Hawks. I just wouldn't bet my money on it.
Here's the thing. I feel like when you're looking at the game, plus 220, I can't get away from that. In such like a kind of a toss-up game like this, that is such good odds for a team that is kind of being overlooked. And to be fair, Clint Capella is not playing, so that could be a little bit of a factor. But you mentioned guys that are going to step up. So I like the Hawks. Definitely going to be a close game. Magic, not bad, but I mean, either team that gets in, they're probably going to get washed. They're probably going to get walked by the first or second seed, depending on where they finish, whether it's 7th or 8th in the play-in spot. But it should be a fun one.
I think so too.
Perfect. All right, let's move on. Second game, Grizzlies at the Warriors. Steph Curry coming in. You got a weird one. I like the props, but let's break it down first. I feel like a lot of people love the Warriors, right? The spread is 7. It's a pretty big one. You mentioned before the broadcast, there was the time they beat them by double digits about a week ago. So what's the story here? Why are the Grizzlies falling apart?
Well, the Grizzlies made what we thought was the most surprising move of the season when they fired their coach with about 10 games left in the season, but that was actually one up by the Nuggets about a week later when they fired Michael Malone. So the Grizzlies are a little bit discombobulated as it is, but even if they had Taylor Jenkins still, I think how can you discount the Warriors? They've got Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and Jimmy Butler now, and he has been electric since he's gotten to Golden State. I mean, they've won, I think, I could be slightly off. I'm just going to say it's about 25-5 since they've gotten Jimmy Butler at the All-Star break. But he did take a big knee to the thigh from Kawhi in the final game of the season. He was limping pretty bad the last 2 minutes. He didn't get on the injury report or anything, but I still think that's a crucial thing to look at in the Grizzlies game.
100%. And then looking at kind of the matchup for this game, it's going to be tough for the Grizzlies to kind of pull off the upset, if you would, just because the Warriors are that team like that they want to go far. They have championship level experience where they can go on those runs. And looking at when you have Steph Curry, Draymond Green, this is a veteran-led team, and I feel like if they get in, that's going to be a dangerous squad to stop.
Yeah, going into Oracle is a thing in itself for a playoff game. People discount how much of an effect home crowd has, but in the last game of the season, as you can tell, I'm a huge Clippers fan. I was watching the Golden State Clippers game, and the crowd, it sounded like it was a game 7. They were super into the game, and it made it really hard on the Clippers. So you can only imagine what it's going to be like when there's actually playoff stakes on the line.
100%. And then let's go back get some player props because you told me a really weird one, and I actually kind of love it. But I'll let Jacob go all in on the Warriors prop. That honestly, for me, it doesn't make all the sense in the world. But that's kind of the things that you want to look for, right? When things are plus money and they don't make any sense, that's when they hit. So Jacob, take it away.
Draymond Green has had a great season this year. He's leading the league he's leading in odds for Defensive Player of the Year, which I don't 100% agree with, but it is what it is. You can't deny he's a great defender, but he's also got his shot back a little bit this year. He's made the most threes this season than he has since 2018. And come the playoffs, you know Steph Curry is going to be getting doubled. You know Jimmy Butler is going to be getting doubled. And I really like Draymond Green over 1.5 threes at plus 105. I think it's a lock, honestly.
Two of them, though? A two is a lot for Draymond.
Two of them. Draymond Green made 4 against the Clippers in the final game of the season. He's been playing really well in his last 10 games, and I really think that come the playoffs, when it matters the most, Draymond's going to be able to make the shots he has to take.
Yes, sir. I mean, looking at what is this Warriors team capable of going into the play-in, it's definitely going to be a higher scoring game considering the spread is 7. Do the Grizzlies cover, or do you think the Warriors just walk away with it? The line is pretty set to the where it's supposed to be. I know we talked about the props, and you don't want to take a risk on anything, but I think the line is pretty accurate.
I agree that the line's pretty accurate, but given the Warriors just yesterday had to play 40 minutes each for their starting lineup, turning around going into the play, and when you're Ja Morant and you're in your 20s, you're Jaren Jackson and Desmond Bane, that's a lot different than playing 40 minutes when you're 37 years old like Steph Curry. So I think that fatigue could be a big issue, and if Jimmy Butler's not 100%, he's going to be out there playing. Just that's the nature of who he is, and I wonder if that could perhaps hinder the Warriors a little bit, having a roughed up Jimmy Butler instead of giving someone like Jonathan Kuminga some more minutes, who's pretty much been out of the rotation for the last 10 games.
Yes, sir. And then I feel like that's kind of a wrap for both games. But how about like something sneaky?
I think Trae Young for a double-double at plus 160 is going to be great odds because he's going to get the 10 points. And with the double teams he's going to be receiving as pretty much their top scorer by a mile, it's going to be hard for him to get a lot of baskets. And with his vision, I trust that he'll get well over 10 assists.
So, well, I'm curious what his line is because it's probably like it's probably like 10.5. But do you think Capella being out, does that affect Young's ability to kind of wheel and deal and dish like he normally does?
You hate to lose somebody that you've used in the pick and roll for years like he has with Clint Capella, but Onyeka Okongwu brings some athleticism that Capella doesn't have. He's a little bit undersized like Capella is. He's not a true 7-footer, but with his athleticism, it feels like he's probably 7'1" when he's guarding you because he's jumping up and making all these crazy blocks, and he's got a lot of athleticism for putback. So I think that he and Trae Young could actually almost have a more interesting dynamic for playoff basketball where they could play a little bit more up-tempo.
Trae Young minus 140 for 10.5 assists. We're going to take the over, but I think double-double definitely makes more sense. We love the Trae Young points. Honestly, I'll put it back on the screen just to run back through both games, but it's been a fun one. We're going to do this again because we got 2 games Wednesday as well, and the props have not come out as we're this recording Monday night. Normally they come out 48 hours in advance, but Jacob, it's been a fun one. You want to run through your picks once more, and we'll wrap the show.
Absolutely. So in the Warriors game, I had Draymond Green over 1.5 threes. In the Hawks game, I had a Trae Young not triple-double. Whoa.
Maybe.
Double-double. If his little self could get 10 rebounds, that would
Capella's out. Somebody's got to step up.
They might not be boxing him out, so you never know. I also had the Hawks money line, which I think is probably not my safest, but the bet that I stand by the most. I feel like that's the money maker, and that's the one that I'm the most confident in.
like I said, I mean, I would much rather be comfortable with the spread. If it does come down to a buzzer beater and Paulo walks it off with a 3, I definitely like that comfort with +5. But at +220 to go with the Hawks, you can't really deny how valuable that is. So,
Nice.
I mean, that is awesome stuff. All courtesy of Hard Rock Bet because of how the sportsbook are. But, Jacob, final thoughts on the games.
Well, so to wrap things up, I think fatigue's going to be the biggest factor in the Warriors game and Jimmy Butler's injury. So that's going to be the first thing to watch when the teams tip off. I don't think Golden State's going to have any issues really scoring. I think that'll be fine. Their defense on John Morant, I'm a little bit worried about. John Morant could have a crazy game. I'm not counting the Grizzlies out at all. If John Morant's hitting threes and throwing hand grenades in the crowd, then I mean, you never know what could happen. And then going over to the Hawks game, that one I don't think is close. Even though the odds have the Magic favored by a lot, I think the Hawks are a better team. I think they've meshed better, and some of the trades they made at the deadline, just moving around some smaller players and getting my former Clipper Terrence Mann has been a good addition for them. He wasn't able to figure things out with us, but he's revitalized his career in Atlanta, and some of these additions they've made have really just made it hard for me to go against them.
Well, Jacob, we appreciate you joining the show. It's been a fun breakdown of both the play-in games for Tuesday night. This will be probably 24 hours before the game, so hopefully you can see it in time. Hopefully Jacob can actually bang 4 for 4 with his picks. But tomorrow night, the games are they're on Tuesday night. The Hawks and Magic will be first. Living in the Orlando area, me and Jacob could be in attendance, so we'll see how it goes.
Make him go with me. Make him go. Hold him accountable if he doesn't go.
Well, if we go, and that Hawks money line is going to be looking fun. But that's going to do it for the show today. Jacob, appreciate you joining. This has been Mike Zanetti, Jacob Nation, for the Big Z Breakdown. We'll see you next time.